This man has just discovered the most mysterious ring ever. A ring that has the ability to rewind time for 57 seconds.
Still waiting?
You know what that means, right? So he takes full advantage of this and starts living the life. Unfortunately, with such gifts comes great responsibilities.
Pay up.
Welcome back to Favorite Recap. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment on the video. At the start of the movie, we see a plane attempting to take off at the airport. However, the police soon arrived and opened fire. Passengers in the plane include Franklin, who is a tech blogger known as Remedy. He is very much resigned to fate as the plane is about to crash. Beside him is Sig, the head of a pharmaceutical company responsible for releasing a highly addictive and deadly medication that has killed thousands. This dire moment paves way for a story that started 3 months ago. Then, Franklin was working as a ticket taker preparing for a prestigious event. His real intentions were to secure an interview with Anton, a renowned health and tech guru working on innovative ways to achieve optimal health without medication. However, Franklin arrives late for the training and ends up receiving only a brief explanation about how to scan attendees' Tri-Bands bracelets that serve as tickets. Moments later, while working, Franklin fumbles with the scanner as he checks the participants in, and this prompts his boss to scold him. However, Jayla, who is a worker as well, steps in to defend him, and the two quickly bond. Later on, they strike up a conversation, and Franklin asks Jayla out. But instead of exchanging numbers, she takes his phone and sets an alarm on it, arranging for him to meet her after the presentation. Still determined to attend the event despite not having a ticket, Franklin meets with his friend Andy, who has successfully hacked and created a Tri-Band, enabling Franklin to bypass security and sneak backstage. As he was entering, Franklin sees Anton making his entrance backstage, and he quickly tries to hide. However, Anton finds him behind the curtains and asks why he was there. When Anton realizes Franklin's Tri-Band is not authentic, he looks at his assistant, a strange man named Ingram, and then decides to allow Franklin to stay for his show. As the event starts, Anton begins his presentation, introducing the Tri-Band, his groundbreaking invention. The device monitors users' physiological data, decodes their DNA, and provides personalized health plans. It also sends reminders to promote healthy habits. However, Anton reveals a significant upgrade, the Tri-Band 5. This version can naturally influence users to adopt healthy behaviors without external reminders, potentially eliminating the need for medications, even for conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and addiction. Meanwhile, a scene unfolds backstage. One of the guards suddenly tases his colleague and storms the stage, holding Anton at gunpoint and accusing his company of controlling people. However, Franklin selflessly intervenes, disarming the attacker and allowing security to apprehend him. After recovering, Anton thanks Franklin and promises to grant him an interview. Before leaving, Anton advises Franklin to attend to his hand, which is bleeding. After getting his wound bandaged, Franklin suddenly notices Anton's distinctive ring on the ground and picks it up. At that moment, Jayla's alarm goes off, reminding him of their engagement that evening. Still inspecting the ring, Franklin inadvertently activates it and discovers its extraordinary ability. He noticed that he was suddenly back a few seconds in the past. Amazed by this, Franklin decides to find out how long back the ring can rewind time. So he experiments with the ring, realizing that it rewinds time by exactly 57 seconds. He also discovers that it needs time to recharge after use. Later on, Jayla eventually arrives for their date. They talked and shared their backgrounds. Jayla is an artist and Franklin is a blogger who writes on the intersection of technology and health. Their evening leads to Franklin's apartment, where things take a romantic turn. However, Jayla soon sees a woman's purse in his closet and assumes he has a girlfriend. So, Franklin quickly uses the ring to rewind time, hiding the purse before she notices it. However, Jayla again sees a photo of a woman on his table, and once more, he resets the moment. He hides every suspicious thing in his room and focuses on pleasing her. This really pleases Jayla, and they have a good time together. In the meantime, Sig, who is the head of a rival pharmaceutical company, meets with his associates Renee and Calvert. He is concerned that the Tri-Band 5 could jeopardize his profits by eliminating the need for medications, and he also suspects that the recent attack at the event might have been a publicity stunt. He orders Calvert to follow Franklin for clues and instructs Renee to investigate the Tri-Band 5 to find a way to discredit it. As Franklin and Jayla talk the next morning, the moment is disrupted when Franklin's car gets towed. He unsuccessfully tries to rewind time with the ring, but fails to reach the car before it is towed. This left him in need of funds to retrieve his car. Back in his room, the TV catches his attention as he spots a casino advertisement and devises a plan to exploit the ring's ability to win. Soon he arrives at the casino and he goes into action. He rewinds time each time to accurately predict the outcome of the game, and his winnings soon gains the attention of many. Among the onlookers is Calvert, whose suspicion of Franklin grows. Now with loads of money, Franklin purchases a luxurious car, but his newfound success entices him to return for more. On his next visit, the casino staff becomes suspicious of his winning streak. When Franklin tries to leave, they ambush him. Using the ring, he rewinds time and attempts to sneak out, even abandoning his winnings, but they intercept him each time and beat him up in the parking lot. Convinced that he is cheating, they demand a confession from him. The tense situation ends when Calvert intervenes, forcing the staff to release Franklin with a stern warning to never return. Afterward, Calvert invites Franklin to lunch and asks for an explanation of his unusual luck. Franklin tells him that it is just luck. Not fully convinced, Calvert proposes a meeting with Sig, but Franklin declines, aware of Sig's involvement in distributing the deadly medication that led to countless deaths. Despite the rejection, Calvert leaves his business card with him. Later on, Jayla visits Franklin and is surprised by his upgraded apartment. As she uses his computer, she notices a wallpaper of a woman. Franklin opens up, revealing the woman is his twin sister, who tragically died from an overdose 4 years ago. Her addiction stemmed from a car accident where she was prescribed Sig's medication. Franklin explains that while his serious articles are published under his real name, he uses the nickname Remedyb on his blog to expose corrupt companies like Sig's. Jayla praises him for his bravery and vows to keep his secret. To show his appreciation, Franklin reveals he bought painting supplies for her. He also shows her his new car, but their plans to go on a ride in the car are interrupted by a call from Anton, who is ready for Franklin's much-anticipated interview, and Ingram arrives to pick him up. At Anton's office, Franklin is given 2 tri-bands, one for him and one for Jayla. During the interview, Anton discusses his vision of eliminating the need for medicine entirely. Beyond preventing illnesses, he aims to avert accidents using a substance with quantum particles. He then advises Franklin to follow his sense of justice, leaving him with much to think about. That evening, while Franklin debates whether to meet with Sig to uncover the truth behind his crimes, Jayla encourages him to take the opportunity. The next day, Franklin meets Sig, and he immediately confronts him about his sister's death, and then punches him. Then, rewinding time, Franklin resets the encounter and fakes respect and engages Sig in a conversation. Sig, who has been told about Franklin's casino streak, proposes a wager. If Franklin can accurately predict an event after Sig whistles, Sig will pay him $100,000 for every article Franklin writes praising the company. However, if he fails, then he must write 5 articles for half his usual rate. When Sig whistles, a model approaches to kiss and massage him, but Franklin rewinds time, guesses the scenario correctly, and secures the deal to Sig's amusement. After Franklin leaves, Sig suspects that Anton is aiding him and decides to keep Franklin under close watch. Back home, Franklin explains to Jayla that his intent is not to sell out but to earn Sig's trust, gain access to sensitive files, and expose the company's crimes. He assures her the money will be used for good. He then proposes to her with his sister's ring, and Jayla happily accepts. The next day, Franklin pitches an event-style rebranding campaign to Sig, strategically buying himself time to avoid writing the praising articles. Sig, who is very impressed by him, gives Franklin his own office. While in the office, one of Sig's models attempts to seduce Franklin, but he firmly turns her down, declaring his commitment to Jayla. This frustrates Sig, who had been spying on him, hoping to blackmail him. Sig then instructs Renee and Calvert to devise a new plan to uncover Franklin's secret. Meanwhile, Franklin and Jayla move into a beautiful home as they begin a fresh chapter in their lives. Days later, Sig invites the couple to Miami on his private plane. He uses a guise of company policy that forbids tri-bands on board. However, the truth is that he suspects Anton is secretly helping Franklin through the devices. Once in Miami, Franklin returns to the casino and uses the ring to win discreetly, though neither Sig nor security detects any wrongdoing. In the meantime, Renee attempts to befriend Jayla and extract information, but Jayla knows nothing about the ring. Later that night, while Franklin and Jayla dance, he notices Ingram watching them and quickly hides the ring in his pocket. Moments later, while he and Jayla talked with Sig, a man storms in and opens fire, targeting Sig for the deaths his company caused. Jayla is also caught in the crossfire, and she is wounded. Panicked, Franklin uses the ring to rewind time. In the second encounter, he subdues the attacker with a bottle, preventing the tragedy. When the news covers the incident, Franklin is hailed as a hero and Jayla praises him too. Back to their normal life, Jayla reminds Franklin about her upcoming art exhibit, and he promises to attend. But while watching the news, Franklin recognizes the attacker, whose wife worked for SIG and had mysteriously died at the office, a case that was never reported. On camera, the attacker calls for an investigation into SIG's corrupt practices, claiming the company blackmails its employees. The following day, Franklin approaches Renee and requests for the file of the deceased woman, claiming he needs it to clean up the story. Renee agrees to send it, but immediately informs SIG about Franklin's interest. Meanwhile, Calvert grows increasingly suspicious, believing Franklin orchestrated recent events to enhance his reputation. SIG, formulating a counterplan, delivers the file to Franklin, who discovers it's empty. SIG then blames Renee for the oversight and distracts Franklin with flattery, offering him another gift as thanks for uncovering issues within the company. He then takes Franklin to an out-of-town bar, treats him to drinks, and gives him the keys to a new luxury car. However, Franklin realizes too late that his drink has been spiked. Overpowered and unable to resist, he's dragged upstairs by a group of women as SIG records the incident. Franklin wakes up hours later, dazed and disoriented. He rushes home in the new car, only to find Anton waiting, having purchased all of Jayla's artwork. Anton mockingly criticizes Franklin for working with SIG, and before leaving, allowing Jayla to confront Franklin for missing her event and coming home smelling of alcohol. The couple's argument escalates as Jayla criticizes Franklin's moral compromises, and Franklin defends himself by pointing out her enjoyment of the money he earns. Hurt by this, Jayla tries to leave, but as Franklin tries to stop her, they both fall into the pool. In an attempt to escape, Jayla mistakenly touches the ring and rewinds time. Now back inside the house, Jayla senses something just happened, and this prompts Franklin to explain how the ring works. In the end, Jayla deduces that Franklin has always used the ring to manipulate their relationship, which made him know the perfect things to say or do. Feeling betrayed, she leaves, and this makes Franklin resolve to end SIG's operations once and for all. The next day, Franklin confronts Renee in her office, demanding the combination to her safe at gunpoint. Renee screams for help, forcing Franklin to rewind time several times. In one attempt, he accidentally injures himself while talking to Renee, and he mistakenly shoots her. Frustrated, he rewinds again, covering her mouth to silence her before forcing her into providing the correct combination. After several resets, he finally retrieves the evidence from her safe. Now with the right password, Franklin pretends to be working in his office until Renee leaves. Then he takes the evidence home. He called his friend Andy for help as he plans to broadcast SIG's crimes during a widely watched basketball game. However, Andy was reluctant as he feared the repercussions on his career. But Franklin transfers a large sum of money to his account, which convinces him to proceed. The next day, Franklin prepares to leave town, but he is unable to reach Jayla. He then sits to watch the game as Andy chooses the right time to broadcast Franklin's presentation on the arena's big screens and across news outlets. The footage reveals security recordings of Calvert murdering the shooter's wife, who had uncovered the truth about SIG's deadly medication. As the public tries to recover from what they just watched, Franklin attempts to flee, but he is ambushed and knocked unconscious. When he wakes, he finds himself at an airport, being dragged to SIG's private plane by the guards. Then, SIG demands that Franklin publicly denounce the video as a hoax. However, Franklin refuses. That was when SIG reveals he has kidnapped Jayla too in an attempt to pressure Franklin into complying with his demands. As they're forced towards the plane, Jayla tells him that she is proud of his actions, and she then uses the ring to rewind time. Taking advantage of the reset, Jayla kicks one of the guards and runs toward approaching police cars. Meanwhile, Franklin is shoved onto the plane as it takes off. The police open fire, and one of the bullets hits the engine, causing it to malfunction. When Calvert advises that they make an emergency landing, SIG insists they fly on. Then, realizing the imminent danger, SIG tries to grab Franklin, but instead he accidentally touches the ring, triggering a rewind. After he discovers the ring's power, SIG repeatedly resets time, trying to prevent the crash. However, the 57-second limit proves insufficient to stop the engine failure. Franklin laughs at him as he is now satisfied that whatever the outcome, it will lead to SIG's death. In a final act of desperation, SIG tells Calvert to turn back, but it is too late and the plane crashes. The police and Jayla arrive at the crash site moments later. While Renee, Calvert, and Franklin survive the impact, the plane explodes with SIG still inside. Anton and his assistant soon arrive, revealing that Ingram intentionally gave Franklin the ring, seeing him as the perfect candidate to test its capabilities. Anton explains that the ring is made of quantum crystals he discovered, and he now wants Franklin to work for him. Franklin, however, refuses, declaring that the ring's power is as addictive and destructive as SIG's medicine. When Anton demands the ring back, Franklin smashes it on the ground and destroys it. Then Ingram calculates the implications of the destruction, but Anton remains undeterred, reiterating his offer to Franklin. He claims he needs someone capable of resisting temptation to help shape the future. However, Franklin declines again and returns the 2 tribands to Anton. He then leaves with Jayla, determined to build a life free of manipulative technology and corruption. If you like this recap, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also like this video. Thanks for watching.